Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Capital Conflab. From rugby and football to korfball and kabaddi, we are here to take you through the very best of sport the wonderful city of Cardiff has to offer. So sit back, turn up the volume, and let us take you through the next half an hour here on Capital Conflab. Hello and welcome to this episode of Capital Conflab. There's not going to be much pre-interview talk this week. We've got so much to get through. We didn't want to cut any of our chat with our guests, so we're going to get straight into it. Football is back, and as it is back, we do have to talk about it. We've got another Cardiff City legend, I don't think that's understating the fact, with us on the show today. We're delighted to say we're joined by Neil Alexander. Neil, thank you for coming on.
It's an absolute pleasure.
You spent a number of years at the club. I think it was 6 years in total. How did the club first approach you? How did you first know that Cardiff were interested?
Well, I think at the time Cardiff were looking to bring in a sort of young, up-and-coming goalkeeper, and it sort of spoke about trying up in Scotland. Was there any goalies that they could potentially look at? And I know from sort of being told George Wood, the goalkeeping coach at the time, a fellow Scottish internationalist, he came to look at me 2 or 3 times in games when I played at Livingston. So George was probably the main reason to bring me to Cardiff. He was obviously fairly impressed with what he saw, and he pushed the deal through, and he obviously had told the management, the chairman, that I was the goalkeeper they wanted to bring in for the future of the club. Pursued me, and I got wind of it through my agent, who let me know that there was interest from Cardiff City. They let Livingston know, and there was obviously contact between the two clubs, and it was agreed. I flew down and I met George at the airport. He picked me up and took me to the stadium, showed me around the city, showed me around the stadium, told me what the club was all about. So I'm very thankful to George Wood, who became a very close family friend. Through working with George, he was a great mentor for me, like a sort of father figure to me. Moving to Cardiff was quite a big deal. Back then, I was still very young. It was my first real move away from home, so it was going to be a hard process. But George made it a lot easier. Training every day, working with him every day. He introduced me to his family, made me feel very welcome, and that helped me settle into Cardiff City.
What did you make of the city outside of the football? Obviously, we'll go on to the football. What did you make of the city?
Loved it. I'd never been to Cardiff before. I went down to have a look around. I was very impressed. Beautiful up-and-coming city. The people were so nice. Made me feel very welcome. Lovely city with a castle, city centre. Shops were good. So it was lovely. I'd say I loved my 6 years at Cardiff. The weather was phenomenal as well. I really enjoyed my 6 years. And truth be told, didn't want to leave because I loved it that much. Got married in Cardiff and had my first daughter in Cardiff, so it's always has a place in my heart, and it always will do.
Do you still manage to get down?
The last time I was down was for Kevin McNaughton's testimonial. It was great to catch up with some of the boys and play at the new stadium, and just to be down in the city again, the buzz of the city. A lot of things have changed since I'd last come down. We drove around, we went to see our old houses and just all the places that we used to go and visit, so it was a great chance to catch up with some friends that we made down there, so that was really nice.
Niall was chatting to a friend of ours earlier today, and we're from Radda. He said that you lived. Is that where you live?
Morganstown.
You're in Morganstown.
Yes, I had 2 houses in Morganstown, just up from the Tanant. As I say, we loved life in Cardiff. I really was sad when I left.
It was a good few years for the club. Some great games. I want to start with the Leeds one, because that's one of my earliest childhood memories, or football memories even, was being at that game. What are your memories of that day?
That was the famous Sam Haman walking around the pitch at the end.
It was, yeah.
I remember all the fans running on at full time and just trying to sprint to get to the tunnel. But it was a bit of everything, a bit of excitement, because at that time, Leeds United were riding high in the Premiership. They were doing really well in the Champions League. They had a team full of international players, and you're thinking, and it was live on the telly as well. So this was probably my first live game on the telly that I can remember. So it was a big occasion, and you're thinking, this could go 2 ways here. This could be one of the best nights of my career. We could get absolutely doing an embarrassment. So, and when Viduka scored, I'm thinking, well, no, this doesn't seem good, but to get back in the game, Cavs' free kick was unbelievable. and then Youngie to win it in the virtual last kick of the game was frightening. I remember at the full-time whistle, I had the ball in my hands and I sprinted off with all the fans running it, and I kept the ball and I hid it in my bag. I gave it to Graham Kavanagh, but I actually had the match ball. And I remember I was waiting in the tunnel for Nigel Martin, and I swapped shirts with Nigel Martin, and also I had his Leeds shirt. But in the celebrations in the dressing room, Sam Hammam was coming in, he was dancing, all the music was on, and he was getting soaked in champagne, and he was loving it. It was just an unbelievable experience for me, really, to play a top Premiership team. And it just gave me what life at Cardiff could be like. You know, the FA Cup was great. We got drawn against, obviously, Leeds, Tottenham we played, Arsenal we played. So, you know, we managed to play some really, really big games, which was great for me. I loved it. I loved the big games.
There were some other ones, obviously. That's one of the notable ones. Disappointing one, I guess, we'll go on to next, was in your second season, maybe, when Cardiff made the playoffs but didn't go up.
Yeah, that's right. We got beat by Stoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really disappointing, obviously, to get that far and get knocked out. But I'd rather get knocked out in the semi-final than the final. I think it doesn't hurt as much. Yeah, that was tough. We come a long way that year. We had a good team and just fell short right at the end. But maybe it just wasn't meant to be. And obviously we made up for it. I think it was the season after we got to the final, and you know that was just incredible.
We had Andy Campbell on in our first ever episode, and he talked about that game, and he was saying how both individually and collectively that defeat really spurred you on the next season, because you really knew sort of not necessarily where you'd gone wrong, but where to improve and where to build on.
Yeah, obviously it stood us in good stead. I mean, I think after the game, the manager came in and goes, remember this feeling. Remember how low you are right now, and use that. When you come back first day of pre-season, just remember that feeling and let that spur us on and not let it happen again. And to be fair, it worked. You know, we kicked on, we signed some really good players, we had a really good season, and managed to go all the way. You know, obviously we'd have loved to have won the league outright, but you know, getting to the playoffs was the next best thing, and I think that's the best way to do it. To get to the playoff final, Millennium Stadium at Cardiff, 72,000, majority of Cardiff fans, and then to win it, you know, the way we did was just incredible. You know, something that every sort of kid dreams of, and go down in history, you know, in Cardiff history as one of the players to play in that day and help the club get to where it's got to just now. So that was one of the, I'll look back on that as one of my fondest memories of Cardiff. It was just incredible day.
What do you recall of Campbell's goal, of Andy's goal that day, obviously at the other end of the pitch?
I remember even before the ball hit the net, I was already on my way to the halfway line, jump and celebrate. And just, I can't remember if I grabbed anyone or just celebrated on my own to the fans, but I just remember sprinting out my box and jumping around like a lunatic. But then trying to compose myself, thinking, well, there's still a bit to go here. But again, when that full-time whistle went, what an achievement, you know, to be part of that and having the majority of fans. The fans were unbelievable at Cardiff. That was one of the best things. I remember the Grange end, how intimidating they were for away fans, and just the atmosphere, especially the old Ninian Park. Obviously, it's not there now, but it was obviously not the greatest stadium in the world, but you know, we won so many games just because of the fans, the intimidation factor, and you know, they helped us along so much, especially that season. So it was incredible just to be able to play in the Millennium. You know, it was an incredible stadium, great atmosphere with a roof as well, and the pitch wasn't that great, I remember that day, but you know, at the end of the day, the result was just to get promotion, and we done that. So it was great to do that.
How does that game compare then with Leeds? Obviously, very different occasions. One promoted, but one arguably the best win in Cardiff's recent history in terms of unexpected.
Both amazing feelings. You know, you can't. When that final whistle goes, just the elation, the achievement of what you've actually done. I would probably say that the playoff final, because the significance of you set out a whole season to achieve something, which is promotion, and to actually do it in the last day, the last possible opportunity to do it, and we've done it, which was a hell of an achievement for the whole season. Obviously, the Leeds game, playing Leeds, who were flying high at the time, full of internationals, to beat them in a one-off game was phenomenal. But I think when you start out in the season, you're not just out to win one game in the FA Cup, you're out to try and get promoted. So, you know, we worked hard that season. The playoffs were tough. 2 hard games against Bristol City, again rivals, which was great to win as well. I remember the celebrations at Ashton Gate, the second leg, everyone's dancing around, and we hadn't really achieved anything. We just achieved the final. But just that period, there was about a 2-week period where just everyone was on a high, and it was great to be at the club at that point, and just what it meant to the fans and the club and the city as a whole for us to get up to the championship. The club was getting bigger and better at the time. Every year we were bringing in better players, things were improving all over, and it was important for the club in general that we went up. And as I said, that made the achievement even more special and more important.
You had I think it's fair to say, a more difficult season the season after, when the first year in what's now the championship, because with Margetson and Tony Warner, there was a bit more competition for places. How was it going from the first choice keeper, week in, week out, to, sitting on the bench at times? Was it difficult?
Yeah, sort of from that point on, it was a bit in and out, it was a wee bit inconsistent. Obviously, when you step up a level in divisions, you're going to be looking to bring in better players. So obviously we knew we needed to bring in another goalkeeper for competition for myself. And that goes throughout the team. If you're not playing well, you'll get replaced. But starting the season, I can't really remember too much about the season, to be honest. I remember having a couple of bad games, maybe a couple of errors, taking out the team. And obviously it's always difficult as a goalie sitting out. You want to play and you've just got to bide your time. But Martin Margeson was great. He was older. I room shared with him. We got on really well, trained well together. It was just that bit of experience that you could go and talk to, and we had a great laugh in training. We worked hard in training. Someone that you could just bounce ideas off and things like that, and he would come and give you advice. Just be patient, you'll get your chance and all this. And we worked well. Marge was really good for me. As I said, we room shared together, so we had plenty of time together to room share. We got to know each other really well, and there was a healthy competition there, which you want at every club. And then Tony Warner came in. I don't know if Marge had got injured or I can't remember what the circumstances were that Tony was brought in. He came in with a big reputation. Didn't really set the world alight.
No, I remember.
Didn't really do as well as maybe he hoped. And it was something like I started, then Marge started, then Tony came in, and I think Marge came back in, and then I finished the season. I don't think the club were doing that well. We were down the bottom, and then I came in for the last, 5-6 games, and we managed to avoid relegation. And but I was still young, making mistakes, inconsistent, but that's how you learn as a goalkeeper. But as I say, the Cardiff City fans were great. They were very understanding with me. Never really got much stick, always complimentary, always encouraging me. So that gave me a lot of belief and helped me on my journey, through the tough times as well as the good times. So, as I say, I had a great rapport with the fans. And obviously, I went down there with Livingston, funnily enough, in pre-season, and we got pumped 4-0. But the fans were still singing my name, and I got cheered off the pitch, and it was great. And then obviously the Kevin McNaughton testimonial got great reception as well. So always had a great chemistry with the fans. I think it was the Celtic thing as well. I think they liked the Scots rather than the English. So but no, I loved it. I say that was part of the reason why I loved being in Cardiff in general, not just at the club, but the people around the club were great, but the fans and the people around the city were amazing to me.
Definitely good to tell that you got your confidence back, because the season after you played pretty much every game, I think.
Yeah, it's all about confidence for a goalkeeper, just that belief. And I think I started off the season really well and managed to play most of the season. I think it was maybe one of my best, most consistent seasons. Yeah. But just enjoying playing football. We had a good team. The team was getting better and better every year, and things were starting to settle down for me. I had my first daughter, as I said. She was slightly getting a bit old. I was getting a bit of sleep at night times as well, so that makes things easier. But just my life off the pitch was so good that it made me, so much enjoy life on the pitch, which helps. But great times. Some of the players I played with, I was very fortunate to play in some really good Cardiff City teams. We had some really good individual players who went on to, bigger and better. And again, that helps. That helps, and good socially as well off the pitch. Good bunch of lads to hang out with outside football. We got on, but yeah, I've not got a bad word to say about Cardiff. It was all so positive.
It's good to hear. Not to upset any of your former teammates, but we were wondering. Obviously, we'll start with you in goals, but what your Cardiff 11 would be if you had to go over the 5-6 years you were there and put together an 11 or the 10 outfield players. Again,
it's
not
really
to upset.
difficult because over 6 years, the amount of players that I played
Well,
with
of course, yeah.
is really, really difficult to.
I'll
try my best. I'll try my best. So I don't even know. So I'm going to go. Danny Gabaldon as a centre half, definitely, because he was probably the one player I would say was one of the best players I played with. Just because Danny had everything. You know, he was quick. He read the game. He could jump, high header. He was just calm. He was one of them calming influences on the ball, and had everything in his locker. You know, just a really nice guy as well, but a really good footballer. So I would say Danny Gabaldon, you're going to kill Andy. If you could throw me in some names, I'll tell you.
Well, it's a test of memory now as well, because there were lots of players.
I remember Danny had a really good relationship with James Collins.
Yeah.
We went through a really good, successful period, but then we had Darren Purse as well, who came in my last year, who done really well.
I think Spencer Pryor would have been there those sort of years as well.
Spencer Pryor as well, one of my first years.
Yeah.
You're really putting on.
I mean, it's testing my memory because I was young at the time. But
I'm going to go with James Collins and Danny Gabaldon as my centre half partnership, because they had a really good partnership. We had a lot of success under them too, and they two went on to the Premiership and international, done really well. So I'm going to go with them.
Andy Legg.
Leggy is left back, but with his throw, can you leave him out with that throw? Such a weapon. Just trying to think of all the left backs. Obviously, Chris Barker, who's sadly not with us anymore. I'm going to go with Chris Barker. You know, he was a great lad, great professional, and obviously so sad at what's happened. So I'm going to bring Chris in there.
Oh, I think that's a good choice.
Right back.
It's a test of memory. Reece Weston would it be?
Reece Weston was my ex-brother-in-law.
Oh, really?
One of my best friends.
Oh,
so,
wow.
I'm going to have to.
I was going to say you might have to put him in there.
Listen, a lot of people might disagree with that, but for reasons that Reece was my best friend when I was down in Cardiff, and he did become my brother-in-law, although not anymore. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. So I'm going to say Reece Weston, just for sentimental reasons. Midfield, Graham Kavanagh, centre midfield, absolute stick on, phenomenal player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steve McPhail.
Oh, what a player!
Yeah. I mean, I'm leaving out Ricky Shimaka, and Joe Ledley. I'm going to maybe put Joe on the left. There's so many good players I'm going to leave it out, so it's so difficult. Right, so I'm going to go definitely Steve McPhail, Graham Kavanagh, centre midfield, left midfield. I'm just trying to think who my options were. I've got Joe Ledley.
Paul Parry.
Paul Parry.
Parry was there.
Well, could have played up front and on the right. I mean, not to jump ahead, but I imagine, especially for your years, Ernie has got to be.
Ernie's going to be up there.
Got to be up top.
Potentially with Peter Thorne, but then you're leaving out Michael Chopra.
Yeah.
And on the right, I'm thinking again Witts, which was tragic as well. With Witts, what a player he was. He could maybe go on the right, but then who am I leaving out? Jason Kumas came in when I was there, who was unbelievable. You're really causing me problems here. I could do 2 11s maybe.
I didn't want to put you through stress.
I'll do a subs bench, so that might get a few of the players in. So I'll go Joe Ledley on the left of midfield. Because Joe played really well as he went on to have a great career international as well. On the right, I'll go Peter Whittingham. Yeah. Phenomenal player, and again, unfortunately, unbelievable what happened. Devastated with that. So we'll put Witts there. We'll go Ernie. Yeah. Ernie up front with. I'm going to go Peter Thorne. And again, a lot goes back to the playoff final year, the team we had. Peter Thorne was unbelievable. You know, scored a lot of goals. His link-up play, his work rate. Him and Ernie really had a great partnership. So I'm going to sort of lean towards that era.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Player. Again, there's probably players in that team who are missing out, which I apologise for. But I'll put some on the bench. So we'll put Michael Chopra on the bench with Jason Kumas.
That's a hell of a bench already.
So it's not bad for the bring players and players on, is it?
I'll put Darren Purse on the bench just as defensive cover.
Yeah.
I'll put Martin Margison on the bench as backup.
For yourself.
I think who else was shout me a couple of names.
Shimaka on the bench.
Ricky Shimaka,
Ricky Shimaka, what a guy. Yeah, we'll put him on the bench, and one more on the bench.
Leo Fortune West.
No, I'll leave Leon now. He done really well. Great guy, what a lovely guy. But obviously,
You've already got chops on the bench anyway.
Yeah, I've got chops.
Need someone out wide. Again, testing my memory for who would have been playing out wide at those early 2000s.
I probably have missed out someone.
I mean, Ernie and Thorny, you can't go wrong. I think we were looking it up when we were speaking to Andy Campbell that Ernie got 35 goals in that year, in the year we went up in the playoffs.
We'll put Andy Campbell on the bench. It goes to extra time.
Well, yeah, exactly.
For the rest of his life, he will be remembered as the guy who scored the winner for Cardiff. He'll go down in Cardiff history, and phenomenal from him, great lads. So we'll put Andy Campbell on the bench. So.
It made me laugh when
that was a tough one.
He was saying when we spoke to him, it really made me laugh that after he scored that goal, he celebrated so hard that for the last 5 minutes of the game, he was absolutely exhausted.
But no wonder to score. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like, the feeling to score a goal. It must be incredible, but scoring that's such a big, massive game which has so much importance must be just the best feeling ever. I was knackered with I think I ran up to halfway line, jumping around like a lunatic and back down to the penalty spots. I think I was knackered as well, but yeah, I think those last sort of 10 minutes was very, very nerve-wracking.
Have you ever scored a goal? Did you ever get the luck of the bounce or the wind behind you?
No, the closest I came to even getting anywhere near a goal was we played Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, and I came up for a corner. We were getting beat 2-1. Came up for a corner in the last minute, and I managed to head it. It was going right into the top corner, and I thought, yes! And the keeper just plucked it out there quite easily. I just spun back. So that was the closest I came. So
you've had a shot on target.
Definitely. Yeah, hit the target, but that was about it. So, I never really got close apart from that, which was unfortunate because I always loved knowing what it's like to score a goal. But
not many goalkeepers have anyway.
Not many.
You're definitely not alone in that books.
I'll take saving penalties.
I was going to say, it takes saving penalties and clean sheets.
Although I will say, I had a horrendous penalty saving record at Cardiff.
Oh, really?
I think I saved one penalty in 6 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
that was in a penalty shootout at Bournemouth in a cup competition. I just kept going the wrong way. But we never had the video analysis and things like that they do nowadays, and you get to see who you're coming up against and where he's put his last 5 of that penalties. So it really was a guess and look at his run up and sort of try and gauge it from there. But obviously I was terrible at guessing because I kept going the wrong way. So, but fortunately enough, funnily enough, when I left Cardiff and went to Ipswich, I saved 4 penalties out of 6. And then I went to Rangers after that, and one of my I think it was my second or third game for Rangers, penalty shootout, saved 2 out of 4, and then saved one in the UEFA Cup semi-final. So I had a good penalty record once I left Cardiff.
Once you left Cardiff.
At Cardiff, it was terrible, so I'm sorry for that.
No, not a problem at all. You don't need to apologise for that. Are there any other games? We've obviously mentioned some of the big ones. Are there any other games during your time at Cardiff which jump out at you?
The Bristol City home and away semi-final games that stand out. I made a couple of saves. One in the away game to Brian Tinnion, which I get spoke about that a lot. If anyone sort of speaks about me in Cardiff, they always say a lot about that Brian Tinnion save in the second leg. I made a decent save in the first leg, which I was quite proud of. But obviously we were lucky. I'd say we played Tottenham at White Hart Lane twice, I think it was, home and away. In my time there, we played Arsenal at the old Highbury on the last year of Highbury, which a funny story was, we were 2-0 down in 20 minutes and I still hadn't touched the ball. I think my first touch was after 22 minutes. Even picking the ball at the net, I never even touched it. And I remember, and people always ask me who's the best player you ever played against. And I always say, well, Dennis Bergkamp. In that game, he just ran the show. He was just on a different level. He was unbelievable, and I was kind of glad when the team line came in and Thierry Henry was rested. But then you see Dennis Bergkamp, and he was just unbelievable. And it was like, this is going on 2, going on 8. But as I say, we managed to get in the game, and the game finished 2-1. It had a bit of a go in the last 5 minutes, so it was a bit of respect. In that case, it could have been a bit embarrassing, but it finished only 2-1. So that was great.
Who scored? Do you know? I can't recall.
We were lucky in the FA Cup that we managed to get drawn against some decent teams. And obviously them big games stand out. We played West Ham when they got relegated, so came up against David James and played them home and away. So yeah, there was loads of big games that I enjoyed. at my time at Cardiff. But obviously the big ones are the ones that stick out in the memory: the Leeds, Arsenal, Tottenham, the playoff final. I say there probably will be other ones. I remember playing Leeds at Ellen Road. We had a good record there. We kept beating them.
We still do
to
this
so
day.
Intimidating, and they were very hostile there, especially as a visiting goalkeeper. But that was a great stadium to go and play in, and to win was even better. So, I was lucky enough to play in a lot of big games. So, I enjoyed it.
Just to point out, Cameron Jerome was the one who scored.
Oh, it was Cameron Jerome, that's it. Yes.
Cameron Jerome, yeah. No, Cameron done really well. He came to us. It's just a young, very raw player. I remember he worked with Paul Wilkinson every day after training on his touch and finishing, and Wilco every day was with Cameron for about 20 minutes working on just everything. And obviously Cameron went on and had a really, really good career, but when he came to us he was very young, very raw, and obviously Cameron's worked really hard at his game, and thanks to the coaching staff at Cardiff, has probably played a big part in that.
Cameron Jerome scored one of the best goals in Premier League history. I can't remember who it's against, but I'm not sure if either of you know.
Was it for Stoke?
It's for Stoke. It's
I think I can remember it. I know the goal, but
I can't think who it's against, but it's one of the best goals. He's a good 30, 40 yards out, and he drills it top
player,
corner.
big and strong, good link-up player, target man. He was quick as anything. Had it all, to be fair.
Yeah,
and he went on and he's done really well for himself. So I'm not pleased for him. He could maybe get on my bench as well.
You've got a big bench coming up
You
there.
can make 5 subs now, it's fine.
One of them international benches where you have about 12.
You mentioned that you'd have liked to have stayed at Cardiff, but it didn't transpire, and you went on and played for a number of other clubs, lots in Scotland. We wanted to mention Rangers, because you obviously got to the UEFA Cup final for Rangers. What was that experience like in the European competitions?
Amazing. Just amazing to be part of just the European game. I'd obviously never experienced that apart from international, and at club level, some of the teams that we came up against, even in the UEFA Cup, the semi-final against Fiorentina home and away, which I managed to play in the second leg, going to the penalty shootout, managed to save a penalty and helping us get through, which was an unbelievable achievement. Probably one of the biggest in the club. I mean, the club hadn't been in Europe for about 50 years, so, and I don't think another Scottish club may get to another European major final. So, for me to say that I was the goalkeeper in the last Scottish teams getting to a European final, I could go down in history, which was unbelievable. But my time at Rangers was amazing. I said I got very fond memories of my 6 years at Cardiff, but my 6 years at Rangers was unbelievable as well. I was very fortunate to come into a very successful dressing room with, again, international players. We were fortunate enough that we were very successful. When I was there, 3 league titles, 2 Scottish Cups, 3 League Cups, and then a European final appearance. And I went there as the number 2 goalkeeper, but through suspension, through injury or whatever, I managed to play in probably a lot more games than I expected to. We were in 7 cup finals, and I've played in 5 of them. Wow. One of them was against Celtic at Hampden Park, which I managed to win. I played in 5 Old Firm games. I think I played 98 games for Rangers, which is I'm devastated I never got to the 100. But for me going there as a number 2, I never even really expected to play much, but played in some massive games, which I was really lucky to, and unbelievable memories of Rangers. It was great. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed my time there. And obviously, I live in Glasgow now, which is good. So, half the city still hate you, half the city still love you. But it's all good. All good.
I'm going to have to throw Niall under the bus here quickly, because when we came on this call before you came on, what were you wearing, Niall?
I was not wearing any type of green and white hoops at all.
Oh, you're on? No. Right, we'll end it here. That's it done.
He was wearing his Celtic shirt when I came on. I was like, you can't wear that when we chatted.
To be fair, if you'd turned up in that and I'd seen it, I would have just switched these off and that. I wouldn't know if it was a wind-up or what. It wouldn't have gone down well.
I don't think you ever, well, not in the league, but you wouldn't have played against Swansea for Cardiff.
No, I played in friendly bounce games at the Vetch.
Yeah.
just if it was an international break or there was a bit of pre-season, I can't really remember. But no, never in the league. Just remember playing them at the Vetch once. Never played them at home. There was one game that we played them in the cup. Was it a cup final, Welsh Cup
The
final?
Welsh Cup, yeah.
I was away in international duty, and Mark Walton played.
Yeah.
We won 1-0, I think. Yeah, because I remember that I wasn't going to make it. I was devastated because that game was a cup final against Swansea. But at the time I was in the Scotland squads, and we had some important games at the time, so I missed it. So I never really got to play against Swansea, which I would have loved to. I'd love to see. Obviously, I've played in Old Firm.
Well, I was going to ask, what was that like?
I've played in a East Anglian derby with Norwich Ipswich, and I've played in an Edinburgh derby with Hibs Hearts. So it would have been nice to complete the set and say I played a Cardiff Swansea derby as well, but not to be. So fortunate.
How was the Old Firm? Because not like Celtic, I'm pretty much on the fence with it, but in terms of an atmosphere and an occasion,
best atmosphere. It's difficult to describe unless you've actually been there and you've witnessed it, and it's literally, you cannot hear yourself think. It's that loud, it's that intense. The hatred, the rivalry, it's so difficult to describe. It's the hairs in the back of your neck are just up when the teams come out and the two teams are singing. When a goal goes in, it's so loud, and just the build up throughout the week is intense. It's something that it's so difficult to describe unless you've experienced it. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Amazing games. The games you want to play in. Again, there's 66,000. It's like Parkhead's huge. Ibrox 53,000. It's just constant singing, constant atmosphere. High pressure games. You cannot make a mistake, especially as a goalkeeper. You make a mistake, you will be remembered for that. It'll never get forgotten. So just getting through the games without making a mistake was probably the number one aim. And not letting anyone down, but just incredible occasions, especially in the city of Glasgow, where you live, and obviously living in Glasgow. They talk about it for weeks before it and then weeks afterwards, and you'll always get remembered as well for things you do in Old Firm games. So it is literally a goldfish bowl in Glasgow. Half the city hate you, half the city absolutely love you. Everyone recognises you, good or bad. You can't go anywhere without people staring at you and things like that. So these games are the games you want to play, and that's one of the reasons I went to Rangers. To be part of these big games. European games, Old Firm games, cup finals. So, I was lucky. I had a very successful period where we were in cup finals nearly every season. And but yeah, the Old Firm, there's no rival to it. Everyone says, maybe down south, the Liverpool Man United is potentially close, but the Merseyside derby or the Manchester derby, I don't think it would touch it in terms of atmosphere. I think you need to experience it, to really get a feeling of what it's all about.
We were genuinely looking at coming up for it on New Year's Day last year, but we were away at the time. But I think we'll definitely plan one because
I would definitely recommend it. In your lifetime to say you've been an Old Firm game, and I was lucky that my first experience of an Old Firm game was front row ticket on the bench. It was when I first signed in the end of January in the transfer window. It was one of the first, maybe 2 weeks in February. The first Old Firm game at Ibrox, and I was sitting in the dugout, front row, first Old Firm game, and it was just incredible. What a way to experience it. We won that day as well, so the elation around the place, the fans in the dressing room, and it virtually is a cup final. Every Old Firm game is like a cup final. You celebrate it like a cup final, even though it's only 3 points, but they're huge occasions, and I strongly recommend coming up and soaking up the atmosphere.
I think we'll do it. You mentioned that you played for the Edinburgh derby as well, and that was, if I'm not mistaken, Hearts is your boyhood club, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously I grew up in Edinburgh, born and raised in Edinburgh, grew up sort of going through high school as a Hearts fan. John Robertson was my hero, who was a centre forward. And luckily enough, I got to work with John when I was at Livingston before I signed with Cardiff. John Robertson was the player coach, so I got to meet my idol, my hero, and got to know him really well and become close with him and good friends. So that was great. But as soon as and Rangers was sort of my second team. and I always would have chosen Rangers before Celtic. One of my best friends growing up was a mad Rangers season ticket holder. His whole family were massive Blue Noses, and that sort of influenced me a wee bit. I had the Rangers strip as a kid, and Rangers were always my second team. But when you step into that building, Ibrox and Murray Park, the training ground, and you just it becomes your life, and you become engrossed in it, and you live it, you breathe it, and you just turn a Rangers fan, and it's just everything Rangers. It's difficult to describe. It's like the saying is up here: once a Ger, always a Ger, and it's so true. Once you know what it means to play for that club, and what it means to the fans and everyone associated with the club, you just embrace it, and it just becomes you, and it runs through your veins literally. And I'm a diehard Rangers fan now, and I will be just for what I've done with the club. 6 years I was there and loved every minute of it, and still look at Rangers results, probably the first result I look at. But I was so fortunate to get an opportunity to play for Rangers. I'll always be grateful for Walter Smith, who gave me my opportunity to come to Rangers. And it was Walter Smith, the Scotland manager, who gave me my 3 Scottish caps as well. Entirely grateful to him, and always will be, for what he done for me in my career.
Would you say he's the best manager you played under?
By an absolute country mile. He was just, he has an aura around him, that respect. When he walks in a room, the room goes silent, and people listen to what he has to say. His man management skills were far, far beyond anything I've experienced in my career. As I say, he has a presence about him, and people would run through a brick wall for him. He's just got that much respect, and everybody loved him. He was just such a nice guy. Fantastic manager, details, how he could change a game at half time. He would see things that no one else would see, and change the formation, change the tactics, things like that, and would go on and win games. But just a lovely, lovely man as well. A lovely man. I bumped into him 2 or 3 times because he lives not far from me, and just such a nice guy to talk to. Have the utmost respect for him, and as I say, he'll always be remembered for me in such a fond way, because he done so much and helped me achieve a lot of the things that I dreamt as a little kid, that I managed to achieve, and he was one of the reasons because of that.
For Scotland, it's one of the lesser known tournaments, I guess, but you won the Kirin Cup, didn't you?
Yeah, the only Scottish goalkeeper to win silverware with my country. And even though it was only Kirin Cup and it was 2 games, it still counts. We got the trophy, we got the medals. So
that's not your profile on Instagram, is it? The only Scottish keeper to win silver.
Listen, I'm not short in reminding people that is a fact, because I don't think Scotland are going to win any major tournaments and anytime soon, unfortunately. Fingers crossed, anyway. But we won a tournament, we've got the trophy, so I'm sticking to that. But unfortunately, I only got 3 caps. I was in the squad for 10 years, went here and everywhere, travelled all over the world, but only got 3 caps. But I'm absolutely proud of them 3 caps. I've got the little velvet cap in a glass case, and that's probably my most prized possession out of them all. I loved that. All I wanted to do when I was a young boy in my back garden kicking the ball, it was become a Scottish international and play for my country. So, achieving that was huge for me. Very proud. Gave my dad my first jersey when I made my debut against Switzerland at Hampden Park, and obviously I've kept my 2 from the Kirin Cup, which is the number 1 jerseys. So, although I would have loved to have got more, but at least I was just buzzing to get 1. I managed to get 3, and very proud of that fact.
What was it like playing out those games out in Japan? I imagine that was a different...
It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. The most difficult thing was the jet lag. We were only there for about 5-6 days, so there was a quick turnaround to get training, to get acclimatised, and to get in our first game. And my biggest memory of that was just we were absolutely knackered during the day, couldn't keep our eyes open, and we couldn't sleep during the night. It was just an absolute nightmare. Obviously went out there as a number 1, which was great. We played, I think it was
Bulgaria.
Yeah, in the first game, and we absolutely battered them, to be fair. And I think it was 5-1 or something like that. Disappointing to concede a goal, but to win 5-1 was great. And then the Japan game was incredible. It was 66,000, full house in this massive stadium, absolutely lashing down the rain. And they never shut up. Even before the teams came out in the warm-up, it was full. and they were all singing and dancing, and the atmosphere was incredible. And managed to have a really good game. We actually man of the match. We drew 0-0, which meant we won the tournament on goal difference, I think it was, and had a really good game. Won the tournament, so we had all the celebrations, as you do. But no, it was a great achievement to be part of that, and to get another 2 caps in that tournament was really good. And Walter pulled me after the game and said how well I'd done, and I was really well thought of. I know Craig Godden was the number 1 at the time. He was in a cup final for Hearts, so he could make it. But it sort of established myself as a Scottish number 2 at the time. I was always going to be in the squad, and just Walter Smith pulling you aside in the dressing room, said, "Listen, done brilliant, really delighted." Means you walk out of that dressing room 10 foot tall and flying home feeling $1 million. And I think I took that into my final season at Cardiff, because I think that was 2005, and going into 2006 season, my final year at Cardiff. And I think for the first half of that season anyway, I was on fire, because we were top of the league. Started off really well, and I think that was the back of that international where that gave me so much confidence. And we started the season, we were flying top of the league, thinking we were going to win this easy. But then we hit a poor patch after Christmas. I think I maybe made a couple of mistakes. I don't know, a couple of poor performances, and I lost my place around March, middle of March.
David Ford, wasn't it? The other keeper.
I lost a goal against Sunderland. I think it was a free kick, and he whipped it round the wall and it beat me at the near post. And I remember Dave Jones going mad at me for that. I don't know if the wall done me any favours. And I think I got dropped after that. But as I say, I don't think Dave Jones was my biggest fan from the start. I managed to stay in the team through merit, but he was probably desperate to drop me. We didn't have the greatest relationship, and that's probably why my Cardiff career came to an end.
What was Lenny Lawrence like?
Lenny was great. Yeah, I loved Lenny Lawrence. He was really good manager. Obviously, he'll go down again as the Cardiff City manager that got us promotion, so he'll always be well thought of in Cardiff amongst the fans. Just a good manager, good tactic manager. Again, we had a good group of players there, so he was just managing them game to game. We went on a good run at times. We had a strong dressing room, so Lenny would just make sure the dressing room was doing the right things at the right times. And training was really good, short, sharp, fun, enjoyable. Which is easy when you're winning. It's when you're getting beat, that's when it's hard. But we had a pretty good year that year. And again, Lenny was good. He was good for me. He kept faith in me. He gave me the number 1, and I'd like to think I repaid him. Throughout that season with some big saves at big times, and got to the playoff final, clean sheet, and the rest is history. But obviously disappointed when he lost his job. But I say that happened in football. It was always going to be tough stepping up to the championship. And then Dave Jones came in and probably had his own ideas. And he went on. Listen, when I left, he went on to do really well for Cardiff, really well. So listen, we didn't have a great relationship. My opinion of him is probably different to a lot of people's. As I said, I was gutted to leave. I remember the last day of the season, doing a lap of honour with my daughter at the end. The Cardiff fans were singing, clapping. That was very, very emotional. To say, didn't want to leave in the first place, but it was time to move on, and the rest is history.
We've been blessed at Cardiff with some, both good Scottish players and Scottish goalkeepers, because obviously more recently we've had David Marshall, who was there for years.
Marsh done absolutely brilliant. I always looked at Cardiff results, and I always like to keep in touch with a few of the boys. And obviously I've got a soft spot for Cardiff City, and always will have. And it's great to go back down and see everyone. But Marsh sort of done amazing, because after me there was a spell where they had a lot of lone keepers, and it was chopping and changing a wee bit.
Some tough times that was in goal.
I remember when I played for Ipswich against Cardiff, my first game back, Casper Schmeichel was there.
Yes.
But as I say, Tom Heaton had been there as well, and there was a few in and out. Stuart Taylor, I think, was there.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really until David Marshall came in that he sort of got a settled goalkeeper again, and he's a very good goalkeeper. Done well for Celtic up here in Norwich. And he's probably one of the best goalkeepers Cardiff City have had consistently over a long period. So, Marsh is great. I'm good friends with Marsh, and delighted for him and what he done for Cardiff.
Because I was looking at the stats yesterday, the 5th most appearances for any goalkeeper for Cardiff and the 5th most appearances for any Scotsman, but David pips you on both of those, being the Scottish goalkeeper.
Now, listen, if it was going to happen, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, and he deserves it. He played in some big games for Cardiff as well. Playoff final games, FA Cup final games, and he deserves his title as a Cardiff City legend as well. But I was there at a different era, and I done my bit. I done my best, gave 100% all the time, and I think that was appreciated. He done amazing for the club, so try to keep the Scottish flag flying down there.
Oh, we've had some great ones in the years with Kev as well, whose testimonial you said he played in.
Yeah.
As you said, I think that the Celt connection is strong, and Chrissy Burke I saw scored two in that Kirin Cup against Bulgaria.
Yeah, that's right. Against Cardiff, Stephen Thompson against Cardiff as well. So there was a few, and hopefully there can be a few in the future as well. Yeah,
100%. You're now at Dundee, aren't you?
United.
Dundee United. Sorry, yes, of course, there's two.
There's two.
There's two in Dundee. Yeah, don't make that mistake. But yeah, of course, Dundee United as the goalkeeping coach.
Now, retired 2 years ago, so it's my 3rd season now. Really enjoying it. It's great. Loving life. I've got a really good group of goalkeepers, and it was always the next level for me. It was always, the natural progression for me from being a goalkeeper. I never really saw myself as a manager or an outfield coach. Goalkeeping's all I've known. I've done it for 23 years. I think I know what I'm talking about. I'm fairly good at that side of it. And I enjoy going in every day and working my goalies and seeing them improve and seeing them take things that we've worked through the week into the weekend. And the amount of satisfaction I get on them having a good game on the Saturday and keeping a clean sheet is enormous. And, it's the next best thing to playing. I love working with the goalies every day. It's the best bit about the job. And the feedback that we get, we're always talking, we have a laugh, we work hard when we need to work hard, but we enjoy it, and I always make sure that training's enjoyable, because for me it's so important for the boys to get out of their bed and look forward to coming into training every day, because once you get to that period where you stop looking forward to working, you lose a player. They stop giving you 100%, you don't work hard, and you're really going nowhere with them. But I've got a really good group at the minute of enthusiastic, young, talented goalkeepers, so I'm loving it. Obviously with the promotion last year, we're back up to the Premiership, which is going to be great. Going back to Ibrox and Celtic Park and places like that, it's going to be a lot more enjoyable this year. So I'm really looking forward to it.
By the time the episode comes out on this episode comes out Friday, it might be different. But at the moment, you're still in the managerial hunt, aren't you? The club is. Yeah,
at this minute in time, we've just lost our manager, our old manager Robbie Nielsen. So he's went back to Heart Midlothian. So we're in the process of looking for a new manager. I think it will be announced in the next 24, 48 hours. I'm not sure who it is going to be right now.
Well, there we are. So by the time this episode does come out, there will be a new manager.
So, hopefully it'll be someone that I can learn off and enjoy working with. And everyone's an experience. I've had 2 managers at Dundee United now, both totally different. So you take the good and the bad out of them all. And obviously trying to improve myself as a coach. But as a team of coaches and a group of staff, that we all try and improve. So hopefully the next manager can fit in well, and I can learn off of and become better at my job as well. And most importantly, the club and the team do better.
We've put together a couple, as we've done for all of our guests so far. We've put together a couple quiz questions.
How good at quizzes are you, Neil?
We'll reserve judgment.
If it helps, the questions are about yourself and your career at Cardiff. So we're not asking you we're not asking you something completely out of the blue. They're all on your own spell at Cardiff. Campbell.
If I get them wrong, I really should be ashamed of myself.
Andy Campbell got all 5. He absolutely smashed it. So that your only teammate from back then is top of the pile still. He was our first guest, and no one has got 5 out of 5 since. So no pressure.
Am I on the clock?
No time left.
I can Google it.
Alright, first question. Who did you make your debut for Cardiff against, keeping a clean sheet in a 1-0 win?
I've got a funny feeling it was Wycombe Wanderers, but I could be wrong.
You sticking with it?
I'd stick with it.
It is Wycombe Wanderers.
Wow.
Yeah. Good memory.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good start.
I had a bad feeling I was going to say that, and he's going to completely change the answer. But no.
I don't know why. Sometimes there's something that sticks in my brain that was who it is. So that's good.
Who did you make your final Cardiff appearance against?
Well, it probably would have been Sunderland because I think I got dropped after that.
It was Sunderland.
Yeah, I think it was the 9th of March as well.
And just very quickly,
It was around the 9th because my birthday's on the 10th
And
of March.
mine.
I remember getting dropped just before it.
well, I always remember that because when I was a young boy, because we share a birthday.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, so I remember there was a home game one season on the 10th of March, and you came again. I was a little boy at the time, but you came across and signed my shirt because it was both of our birthdays on that day.
Oh, right, yeah.
So
So it was around that time. It was either the 9th or the 11th of March, somewhere around that time. But I remember the free kick. I think we got 1-0, and he blamed me for the free kick, and the writing was on the wall. Then I sort of knew, I'm getting dropped here. So at least that is another one right anyway. That's good.
2 out of 2.
Next question. True or false, when you left Cardiff, you were the longest serving player at the club?
I don't think so. I don't think I would have been. At that time, so when I arrived, when I finished, I was no one else was there with me. Oh, that's a good question. Because Danny Gabardine was pretty young. Scott, Chris Barker when he arrived later. Oh my goodness, this is just a guess. This is a guess.
You got 50.
Ernie would have been there. Did he leave? He left, and I played another year at least. So,
Is he going to back himself?
Joe Ledley was there as well. So, did I back myself or did I not? I'm gonna say no.
It's true. You were the longest.
Oh, was I?
Yeah, you were.
I thought it was too easy to be true. I thought you were trying to catch me out here.
I'll catch you out there.
No, we're not horrible like that. We're
I
nice.
promise.
Next question. Which 2 players in the 2002 Leeds United squad went on to play for Cardiff City?
Robbie Fowler.
That's the easy one because he started, but the other one was on the bench.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me now. Did he come on that day?
That's the thing. I don't think he did.
Right, well, that's not a fair question then. You can't give me that. You've just got to give me a point. And that's it.
You get the point for Fowler. The other player went on and played. I'll tell you where he played. He was a
Right.
central midfielder, and he played for Cardiff for a good number of years, a good 5-6 seasons.
Should we give him nationality as well?
Yeah, okay. And, yeah, you got it. You've got.
McPhail.
Yeah, Steve
McPhail,
McPhail.
yeah.
Yes.
Right.
We'll give you that. We'll give you that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that was harsh, that. I should have known because I know Marker really well, and obviously he was amazing for Cardiff.
Yeah.
And I knew he was at Leeds at that time, obviously, just because he didn't come on the pitch and I didn't. It's difficult to think of my memory, so.
Can't make them all easy questions. We give a range.
Last question then. You made your debut for your boyhood club Hearts against Annan Athletic. What was the score?
I know they scored. I do know that. I'm thinking 2-1, maybe 2-1 or 3-1. How am I supposed to know that?
Hey, you got.
I thought these were Cardiff City questions.
So did I, to be fair, Phil, but
I forgot that one of them wasn't.
Right, so that can't count.
Yeah,
You've got to come up with a better one than that.
It's more recently. If anything, it should be closer in the memory.
Right, you got to give me a clue. Was it 3-1 or 2-1? I'm on the right track.
you're on the right track with them two, yeah.
Right, so it's one of them.
Yeah.
I'd like to think it was 3-1. I'm going to go 3-1.
It was 3-1. It was 3-1.
See, it wasn't too hard. You knew. You
I'll
got
do
there.
that. 4 out of 5. That's not too bad.
That is good. We were very impressed when we asked Andy Campbell who scored the other goal on his debut other than him, and he pulled out Leighton Maxwell, which was the correct answer for that question.
I would never. I know Maxie, but I would never get an emoji. So
Yeah, it's a very good answer, very good knowledge. As was yours, you doubted yourself then, but you still knew.
I thought it was too easy. It was too easy to say true, to say, oh yeah, I was. So I thought, but just thinking back, all the people, the young boys, Joe Ledley had come through, was playing a lot of the time. Didn't know when Chris Barker, he came a couple of seasons maybe after me. Gabardine was always in and around, but then he maybe left.
I think he'd gone to West Ham by that point.
Yeah. So did James Collins as well. So
4 out of 5 is very good, and we massively appreciate you coming on. It's nice to hear how fond your memories are of Cardiff. Even
Yeah,
if
listen, I always, whenever anyone speaks to me about Cardiff, I always have a smile on my face. I've got very, very fond memories of my time at Cardiff. I loved it, loved living in the city, loved playing for the football club. So it's all good. We always go back. Sometimes we get the chance to go back and visit friends and go look at the house we had in Morganstown and things like that, and restaurants that we used to go down memory lane. As I say, we got married in a church in Miskin. And we had a reception at the Villa Glamorgan, and we had our first daughter in the Villa Glamorgan Hospital as well. So obviously we've got a connection with Cardiff, and we've got friends down there. So it's a very, very fond memories. We like to try and go down when we can, and relive them nice memories and catch up with people. So yeah, love it. So hopefully, never know, one of these days I might get an invite down at half time to do the half time draw or something like that.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice to go down and take in a game if ever I've got the time, and say hello to the fans in that game. So that'd be nice.
Obviously, there's no fans at the moment, but things are looking this season. It's been a good start after the whole lockdown. They've been in good form, so you never know.
Yeah, hopefully that continues. And
Playoffs aren't out of the question, although with the exception of the playoff campaign that you were in, playoffs haven't been fond memory for Cardiff fans under the age of 30, really. They've been tricky times.
We've had a couple of good seasons in the Premiership, so...
Well, yes, of course.
You've done really well. The club's done really well, signed some unbelievable players that you've managed to watch week in, week out, so... it's been a good journey for the Cardiff City fans, and I think they've enjoyed it, and hopefully there's still some good times to come in the future.
I completely agree. Couldn't agree more. Neil, thank you very, very much for coming on and chatting to us and taking some time out. It's been great. And good luck with whoever your new manager is. Sure, it'll be fun. And we might spot you at an Old Firm game, and Niall will be wearing green and white. But
if he's wearing green and white, I'll stay away from him. But listen, it was a pleasure, and thanks very much for coming on and reliving some of the good memories that I've had down there. So it was always a pleasure. Thank you.
Not a problem at all. We really appreciate it. Cheers, Neil.
Cheers, thanks.
Thank you.
As always, a big thank you to Neil and to all of our guests for coming on. We do really, really appreciate it. That's it for this week. Keep an eye out on the weekend. Saturday, tomorrow, we've got a special extra episode for you all. We finally talk rugby. I know we've missed it this season. It's been remiss of us, but we hit rugby tomorrow in a special episode with the Cardiff Blues brothers. So stay tuned for that one. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Capital Conflab. If you have a story you want featured, then get in touch. But for now, until next time, you've been listening to Capital Conflab.